Fox 10 Talks. I'm Trenton Hooker. This is Ellen McNamara in for Brian Webb this week. Ellen, thanks so much for hopping on. I know we were like, what are we going to talk about tonight? There's so many things going on
Yes.
that were exciting.
Yeah, and we have I would say like a wild show, frankly. We
No
do.
kidding.
You sent me a top line, and the title was Russian Sex Spy. That was literally.
Yeah.
And you're like, "Are you in?" And I was like, "Yes, I'm in. Absolutely."
Say no more. That's exactly what we need.
So that is just one topic in
Yes.
our hour-long show, guys, that we're going to be covering today.
So fun.
So sign me up, Trenton.
Yes, and I don't know if you've been tracking what's been going on with this comet. Some are calling it an alien object, possibly.
Yeah.
3I Atlas going around. But the whole thing's just been fascinating. I mean, Brian and I were talking about it a couple months ago, and I believe it first came on the observatory's radar in July, but Dr. Avi Loeb, a Harvard professor, really been fascinating to talk with him. I think, man, this is our sixth time speaking with him, but just a lot of twists and turns, even in the last week. He just got done doing Joe Rogan's Experience podcast.
Yeah.
And then he was also on Piers Morgan, I saw last week, and really fascinating. But Dr. Avi Loeb, can you hear us okay?
Yes, I can. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, sir. Awesome. Well, hey, if we can get into a little bit, what's the latest on 3I Atlas since our last discussion?
There are lots of developments over the past week. It passed perihelion, meaning closest approach to the sun, on October 29th. That's when this object 3I Atlas was within a distance of 203 million kilometers from the sun. It received about 770 watts of solar irradiation power per square meter. So that's the point in its path where it gets heated the most. And indeed, there was a detection of it getting quite bright, much brighter than before, by a factor of 5 or so, by various solar observatories that looked at it, even though it was hidden from view from Earth, because the Earth was on the opposite side of the sun when it was closest to the sun. Maybe for a good reason. It's not clear whether it's natural or technological. But at any event, these observatories noticed that it became bluer than the sun, which is quite unusual because usually comets shed the dust that makes them red, or they have a surface temperature that is much cooler than the surface temperature of the sun, and therefore they appear redder than the sun. And nevertheless, 3I Atlas became bluer than the sun, which is surprising. But most interestingly, there was a deviation from the trajectory that it should have taken if its path was shaped by gravity alone. So there was some non-gravitational acceleration that it exhibited. If it's a natural comet, that is a consequence of it getting evaporated. And I did a simple calculation that showed that it must have lost at least a tenth of its mass in that process in order to get the reported level of acceleration. And that is a substantial fraction of its mass. It's most likely even 20%. That's just a lower limit. And that means that if it's a natural comet, there should be a very massive cloud of gas around it. And we are starting to get now new images of 3I Atlas. And if it were a familiar comet with the characteristics of a comet where it sheds dust and gas, that dust and gas should have been swept backwards away from the sun by the solar radiation and the solar wind. However, those images that were just released today, they don't show a cometary tail. They just show a blob of light, a fuzz of light around it, the way we saw when it was far away from the sun. And so the question is, what is this object? Why is it behaving so differently than solar system comets. I put in my latest essay, just for comparison, the image from the same telescope that observed it today. 2 days ago, it looked at a solar system comet named Lemon. And for Lemon, you can easily see a beautiful cometary tail being, pointing away from the sun. In the case of 3i Atlas, nothing of that nature. And so it's still anomalous in some ways. And before the anomalies that captured my interest were that it appeared to be big, at least 1 million times more massive than the first interstellar object from outside the solar system. And moreover, it was going in the plane of the planets around the sun. So perhaps that trajectory was designed by some intelligence. That was my thinking. And since then, we noticed that, it sheds a lot of nickel, but very little iron, which is unusual, anomalous. And the only other place where we find that is in industrial production of nickel alloys. So maybe that's a technological signature. It showed unusual polarization. It came from the same direction as the WOW signal that was discovered in 1977, a radio signal that is still enigmatic. We don't know what the source is, but they were within 9 degrees of each other. And the question is, were they related? Was this signal related to 3i Atlas in any way? So there are lots of anomalies. I listed about 10 of them by now, but we still don't know. I mean, my point is that it should just make us curious, and in the coming weeks, we should be able to figure out the nature of the object, because it will get closest to Earth on December 19th. That's 6 days before Christmas, and my hope is that we will not receive an unwanted gift for Christmas, for the holidays, because the last thing we want is for it to send probes to planets like the Earth.
Oy. I know, like Kim Kardashian, that has gotten some traction. Professor has commented on this. You have also briefed members of Congress too.
Right.
And I'm just kind of curious, like when you're briefing them, and frankly, some of them are not big believers in science. And so what are you telling them? And what is their reaction to what you're telling them? And also, it is my understanding too, that no rocket from Earth is fast enough to reach this thing. So, are we screwed?
Well, let me answer your first question first. So I'm talking with them about science because, that is the best way for us to gain new knowledge. We should pay attention to evidence, to data that is collected by instruments, because, if we believe stories that people tell us, they're all over the place. And when there is a car accident, different people give you different reports. You can't believe what people are telling you, stories and so forth. And the best path forward is actually collecting data with instruments. That's the scientific method. And then whatever the data shows must be the truth, and once you have enough data, it's like a detective story. And, when the Vatican refused to look through Galileo's telescope, that was a big mistake, because they had to correct that mistake in 1992, and they admitted that he was right. So ignoring data is not a good practice, because, whether we move around the sun or the sun moves around the Earth, it's not up to people to tell us. It's whatever is out there, and we should collect data and the Earth moved around the sun 4.5 billion times before the Vatican even existed. So just denying that is not a good practice. You want to check the data and figure out what is really the case. If we have a neighbor or not, that doesn't depend on what is the popular view on social media. It really, the neighborhood exists irrespective of what people say. Yeah. So we just need to attend to that. So I basically try to explain what we know and what the anomalies are. And I must say, I'm very impressed by, for example, Representative Anna Paulina Luna. She's very curious and willing to help science forward. And she just today she met with officials of NASA and promised that the latest highest resolution image obtained by the high-rise camera from the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter would eventually be shared with the public. And it's just a bureaucratic matter that it was not shared over the past month because of the government shutdown. And she's doing the best to promote the scientific method as far as I can tell. So I can say that my experience so far with members of Congress was very positive, and I resonate with their curiosity, and they recognize the fact that getting better data is the best path for us to figure out things. Now to answer your last question.
Last question, yes.
Yeah, just to answer the last question, indeed,
are we screwed? That's the question.
It's a great question.
Yes, if we are visited by a technological civilization that has developed higher, better technologies than we possess. For example, this object, 3 Atlas, is moving 3 times faster than our fastest rocket, and it's 50 times bigger in size than the Starship rocket. So obviously we can't cope with that, and yes, we are screwed if it's technological. But if we survive any such encounter, it should fill us with a sense of humility, with the fact that we do have siblings in our family of intelligent civilizations, and they are more accomplished than we are. But that should inspire us to do better, not to feel jealous about them. And hopefully we will not encounter a serial killer on their side. That's my hope on this blind date,
Wow. Yes, we're screwed.
Hopefully it stops, right? Like hopefully it, I don't know.
No, I mean, the best thing to hope for is that it's just an icy rock that happened to be, just by coincidence, flying in the plane of the planets around the sun, that happens to be big by chance, that shows all these anomalies because it was made in an environment, a natural environment that is very different than what we are familiar with. That would be the best. And then it will just pass by and nothing will happen. But we always have to contemplate a low probability that an interstellar object might be technological, because the implications are huge. And, that's always done by the intelligence agencies. They consider low likelihood events. For example, in the context of terrorist attacks or things like that, even though they never materialize, most of these events, they have to have a contingency plan, a protocol to attend to the data if it looks anomalous, just to make sure that
Hey, Avi, real quick, if you could you hang with us for just a second? We're going to go to a break for 2 minutes, and I want to ask you one more question on where we're at with that, where you were continuing your thought. But hang with us on Fox 10 Talks. Wow, it's really getting interesting. Love it.
Welcome back to Fox 10 Talks. We are just in the middle right now of a fascinating discussion with Professor Avi Loeb right now. And we've been talking, of course, about this Atlas telescope that spotted the comet, the 3i Atlas. And so we wanted to bring him back in after the commercial break because we didn't finish the discussion. And so, Professor...
You had a really interesting question, I thought.
So I something came up and we had covered the DART mission. And so, that was involving was it the asteroid that was coming our way?
Yes.
And so it was the asteroid that was coming our way. And there was a really fascinating mission and
slammed into it.
And and I believe it was led by NASA at the time.
Yes.
It wasn't too long ago. And it was like, way to go. I mean, it was like perfect. NASA led the mission and they ended up shooting something at the asteroid that was coming towards Earth. It worked. It was a successful mission. So is that maybe potentially possible? I don't know, but you said that whatever this is, the 3i Atlas, is absolutely huge and it is extremely fast right now. So could that maybe potentially be a possibility? I don't know.
Well, in principle, yes. There is a Juno spacecraft orbiting Jupiter right now. If it carried all the fuel that it started with, I published a paper showing that it could have intercepted 3i Atlas on March 16th, 2026. Just because of the advance warning, it could have moved to place such that it would cross its path and could have collided with it in the same way the DART mission did. But unfortunately, Juno used most of its fuel. So currently, we just don't have a spacecraft that can do that. But in the future, what we can do is, if we decide that we want to intercept interstellar objects, either to explore them or to defend Earth, then first of all, we should deploy a set of sensors that alert us to incoming interstellar objects. And then, of course, we can have a set of interceptors that would meet them. And as of now, we don't have a NASA spacecraft that is designed for that purpose. But I think in the future, especially if we recognize that there is a potential threat to Earth, or we recognize that it's an opportunity to collect a sample of material from such an object. Because, for example, we can look for the building blocks of life around another star. So it offers a whole new set of opportunities. It would take us millions to billions of years to go to another star, retrieve materials, and bring it back to Earth. Here, we have something that made already the journey for millions to billions of years. So we can take advantage of that because it is in our backyard and it's much less expensive. We need much less time to bring that sample. And that is a sample of material from another star far away, thousands of light years away. So that's an amazing opportunity for the future. And of course, if we ever notice a technological object, then we will consider it as defending planet Earth. In the past, we thought of defending it against rocks, which follow a predictable path. Technological gadgets can maneuver. They can have a different intent than we imagine. So it will be more complicated, but we will need a defense system to protect us from unwanted visitors in the future if we ever find that one of these interstellar objects is indeed technological.
Avi, I wanted to ask you also with Congresswoman Luna, who has been really the champion to look at also the topic of unidentified anomalous phenomenon, UAP, instead of UFOs now. But with the Defense Authorization Act that went in, I believe in 2022, there was an office, ARROW, that was created, the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, for whistleblowers in the government that might have information related to UAP and also to government programs, to be an office where they could investigate those claims and to somehow answer the questions of Congress and be a little more transparent than what we're used to. I want to ask you, with your involvement with Congresswoman Luna, with also this topic, do you feel like we are closer to having the environment where these whistleblowers can come forward and testify and shed some light on really what's going on, what these are that really have been popping up so much in the last decade?
Yes, some of these whistleblowers already came forward in congressional hearings. In fact, 6 months ago, I visited Aero, and I spoke with the leaders of that office in the Pentagon, and they told me, I asked them, do you have any clear evidence for something extraterrestrial among the objects that were documented by military personnel? And they said, nothing that we can definitely identify as extraterrestrial. There were some reports by FBI agents that were not verified by data from instruments. So at the moment, they didn't really produce any clear evidence for something unusual, but there are also claims that they are not motivated to reveal that this is kept classified. Any such information is kept classified. And I don't know who to believe on that because I haven't been exposed to any information within government that is of great interest regarding things outside the solar system. Frankly, if they do have such information and they keep it classified, that's inappropriate because their jurisdiction is to deal with national security, not with anything outside the solar system. That's my job description as an astronomer. So my hope is that if they do have something, eventually they'll get to me and or scientists like myself. But in the meantime, I'm leading the Galileo project. We have 3 observatories that are operating right now. The latest one was constructed in Las Vegas. I mentioned it on the Joe Rogan show just a week ago. And we're trying to collect data by looking at the sky and checking if there is anything that is operating beyond the performance envelope of human-made technologies. And if we don't find anything, so be it, and I'm happy to provide all the everything we learned by developing the sensors and the machine learning software to the Department of War so they can use it in order to defend the nation. So it will not be wasted, this effort, the scientific effort that I'm working on with the Galileo project.
Well, it's a lot to digest.
Lots to take in for your first time talking to Dr.
in.
Loeb.
Yeah, Dr. Loeb, it was fascinating
Yes.
to talk to you. And I wrote down December 19th.
Right?
So we will need to check in with you. And I look forward to hearing what you have to say December 19th.
So fascinating.
And thank you so much, Dr. Loeb, for joining us. We really appreciate your time.
Thank
we
you,
know
Avi.
that you're incredibly busy, so thank you.
Thanks for having me, and stay curious. And maybe nature will surprise us. We shall see.
Yes, always.
Well, yeah. And I have a show, The Curious Bee. So maybe you can come on my show.
I'll be delighted to.
Okay. Yes, I love it. I love it.
Avi. Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Appreciate it. Wow.
Yeah, that was crazy. Are we screwed? Yeah, we certainly could be.
Yeah, I think the month of December, I'm not going to leave the city, really.
Might not be a good Christmas, everybody.
Yeah, telling my wife we're canceling our plans. We're staying in.
Hunker down in your bunker, but honestly, your bunker probably might not save you, potentially.
No,
so, yeah.
no, there's nowhere to go.
Wow.
I think the chat said it best, 6'7".
Yeah.
Elijah Tanner.
That's like the worst use
The numbers are there.
that,
right.
potentially. That like means absolutely nothing right now.
Little Philosophy asked a question. Oh, yeah, there was the UAP that crashed around Area 51 a few weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was kind of interesting, and all I can say to that is stay tuned. We have someone with a little bit of expertise going to be coming down the pipe on that, on that particular crash and the hubbub with the military response. Very, very interesting. I don't know if you're familiar with George Knapp, but he's an investigative reporter out in Las Vegas, and he's been tracking the whole UAP phenomenon, I think, since the 80s.
Yeah.
And really been fascinated. But he did a report I saw last week on it with just the air traffic control and just the response, regardless of anything was extraterrestrial, but more likely if this was a government technology that was happening. But that whole site out there with Groom Lake and everything else and just the amount of infrastructure they have to keep everything under wraps, it's really fascinating.
Yeah. Well, it's so funny because, I mean, like, you know, you go out to like Roswell, New Mexico, and it's kind of, I mean, for a long time, it was kind of known as like a freak show.
Right.
But now, you know, when you're asking him about like the whistleblowers, maybe it's not such a freak show anymore.
And,
you know?
And the data that's coming out too, in that particular special subcommittee that was happening where they had some of the whistleblowers go through.
Yeah.
I mean, we showed the video in the past, but the UAP where there's the Predator drone looking at one in an airspace, I think it was in Yemen.
Yeah.
Fires a Hellfire missile at the thing.
Yeah, like
like
these fighter pilots.
Right.
Like these legit, brilliant fighter pilots.
That we invest millions of dollars into their skills to be aware of all the airspace at all times. And they're saying, we don't know what this is, but they keep showing up. Really, really fascinating. So, yeah.
It's progress because before they were all just weather balloons.
Right.
It's always it's a weather balloon.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know.
Gets hit by a Hellfire missile, weather balloon, just bounces right off.
Yeah, I know.
In a bunker.
Yeah.
You knew
that. So in a couple of minutes, we have a fascinating story coming up.
I'm psyched about this one. Yes. Been trying for a little bit to.
This is the one you messaged me about. I was like, whoa.
Nice lady arranged.
Real quick, I don't know if you followed the election last night. I mean, it was like a big night for the Democrats. And so this was an interesting headline. I'm just going to read it really quick. Fascinating headline. It said, Trump may become the face of economic discontent a year after such worries helped him win big. So that was an interesting headline just from last night. We had the race in Virginia. Virginia Governor Abigail Spanberger becomes the first female governor in Virginia. Mikey Sherrill, I should say, Democrat.
I believe Spanberger is also the first CIA officer as governor.
Correct. That is true. Yeah. And so Mikey Sherrill, a female, also won New Jersey for the governor. New York mayor, a lot of people talking about that.
That was the big one, I thought.
Yep. Zoran Mandani won for the New York mayor, and then the California Prop 50. So that was basically in response to what happened in Texas for the redistricting there. That was a big win for Gavin Newsom, who kind of led the charge there. So anyway, that was just kind of the election results there. And then so just a quick little headline there.
Wow.
But coming up now, we have a former Russian sex spy.
Yes, talking about the threat right now, Silicon Valley, and also U.S. private sector. There she is.
Yeah.
Fascinating discussion we're going to have in just a few moments. So stick around, Fox 10 Talks. We'll be right back.
Mm-hmm.
jump in. So hang with us.
Maybe we'll just read the headline and then kind of go from there.
Sure.
Wow, what a time we've been having on Fox 10 Talks. Yeah, wow. From aliens, outer space, now we're going back to Earth.
Yes, we are.
Yeah,
oh, yes, we are.
It'll be fun. Well, we have a very special guest joining us, Aaliyah Rosa. How are you doing, ma'am?
Hello, I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes. So we were talking about your background a little bit, but being a member of the Russian military, correct? And tasked with coming over to the U.S. And can you talk a little bit about your work with what the Russian government was having you do?
So basically, just to explain, I was a bait. So I would infiltrate criminal gangs or targets in order to find out information or recruit them to do things what they need to do for the Russian government. So basically, I was using psychological kind of like seduction techniques, which are known as a sex spot or sex trafficking or honey trapping or sex espionage.
Yeah. I mean, the headline that we are reading, female spies are waging sex warfare to steal Silicon Valley secrets. And it's so funny. Like, I mean, it's like the oldest trick in the book, but it works, especially with men. And I'm sure you know that. I mean, sex works with men, right?
No. She likes me for my personality and my mind.
But I mean, yeah. And I'm sure that if you're in Silicon Valley, you have a bunch of startup companies. And
a lot of money.
Yes, a lot of money. And these are innovative companies.
Well, the most important, I would just add here quickly that those Silicon Valley tech people, CEOs, executives, they have no idea that behind these accounts may be a fake, fake accounts which were created by male agent who is literally targeting these particular individuals to get information on, special corporative secrets or some other information. So they have no idea because these fake accounts, they are experienced in manipulation, secret intelligence officers. And of course, when they pretend and create these fake accounts, usually it's beautiful ladies wearing bikinis, like very revealing photos and whatever. So of course, men who are constantly busy with work, who are very they have lack of social skills, let's say. Of course, when they see this beautiful account, this beautiful lady online who is very nice, who is very sweet, who is supporting him morally and telling him how amazing he is, and then establishing this trust bond, of course, for him, he wouldn't even think about that behind this fake account is a male agent who is doing this in purpose. So, but this happens everywhere nowadays, and not only in Silicon Valley, but in the whole world, and not just from secret intelligence agencies. As you know, there's so many online scams where people have been fraud, lose money or whatever, happening. So this is quite important to understand how the manipulation works. And that's basically what I'm trying to share, especially to men, to be very cautious with these beautiful online accounts.
Aaliyah, if we could real quick, I just want to get a little bit with your background, if we can jump into that. But can you tell us where you're from in Russia and how you joined, obviously, with the military, and then how does the military approach you with, I've got a job for you.
Yeah.
and here's what we need you to do. What was that like?
Yeah. To begin with, I was born in USSR, right, in 1984. In 1991, USSR falls, so that former, KGB was reformed into FSB and SVR. And then my father, when I turned to 18 years old, he, for many years, over like 30 years, he was a high-ranking officer working in there. So he brought me into the department, which that time was sort of like DEA, which is the Department Investigating and Combating Against Human and Drug Trafficking. And my father, kind of like encouraged me and pushed me towards this path, my family path, because my grandfather was in military, my father was in military, my cousins and everybody in our family. So I joined the military when I was 18 years old. And when I came to the academy, apparently I was one of the chosen girls who would enroll to this special program, which is called which you basically name as well. It's a sex bot, honey trap, sex espionage. So that's a special program where where we've been learned how to seduce, how to persuade, how to influence our targets, and especially also how to use the sex techniques on our targets in order to make them to reveal any secrets or be committed or be obsessed with you. And then, of course, either it would be termination of the target, either it would be recruitment of the target. But anyway, it was it was all the setup, sort of like social engineering, the whole setup where the target would never understand that he's literally in the manipulation game.
Now, in that kind of learning period, were you learning, I don't know, American behavior too? Were you learning, what an American guy likes? Were you learning, kind of like, were you also learning that as well to before you even got to America?
Well, I've never learned about American psychology. We've learned the type of basically human beings, right? So according to secret intelligence, there are like different types of female behavior, right, and male behavior. So basically, like there's certain types. Knowing the type of the person, you can find out their weaknesses, their desires, they kind of like personalities, and then you can adapt your behavior towards this person, right? So we've learned that. I've honestly never learned about American, psychology.
Wow.
And yes, so but I love Americans and I love being in this country. This country gave me the freedom. I finally got out of this, trap, being under the kind of like Russian government. And I feel much secure being here, and I'm very grateful for this country to give me the home. So that's why I'm kind of like revealing about who I am, what I've done before, what's my identity, how to prevent manipulation, and especially from secret agents from Russia and from China or whatever secret intelligence it could be.
No, that's really inspiring, I think, too. But can you talk about your experience when you did come over to the U.S.? What was your mission? What were you tasked with? And I know that in 2006, the feelings kind of got real a little bit. If you could talk about that with the subject of who you were looking at.
Yes, you mean like the Vladimir mission?
Yes, that'd be great.
Yes. So the Vladimir actually mission was my last one. He was a very big drug lord. Together with his, drug dealers and criminal group, he would bring from Afghanistan, tons of heroin. And that time, they were established like different drug enforcement departments, like FSKN, for example, who was working in particular on combating the drug trafficking. So I was in there, and my mission was to infiltrate and, that time establish relationships, like long-term relationships with the target, in order to get information about future supplies, and then pass this information to my commander, to my team, and then the team, sort of like American SWAT, would come and arrest drug dealers, whoever would be there, and also confiscate drugs. So that was my main job. But things got really into kind of like unpredictable way, where we find out that my main commander was actually corrupted, and he sent me to this mission without me knowing it. He sent me there to kind of like set up Vladimir in order to remove him from the cartel and point his own protege. And then eventually he gave up my name, that I was a mole. I had I had really the most probably dangerous part of my life, where I thought like I would be killed. But so that's this Vladimir, who was my target, who eventually after certain like months fell in love. He helped me to escape, knowing that he probably would be killed by his own criminal brothers, which happened after. And I actually shared all my life story in the podcast To Die For, which was released just like a year ago, and it got top 6 in the world. It was like really fascinating to read all these messages, and people would come to me and say this was inspiring. So I share basically all my life there, and I know that I did make like kind of like a short introduction, but if you would like to listen to it, you can like go and dig into there, because it's 17 episodes of the whole story of the Russian operations.
Let it all out. Can you talk about real quick? I mean, you spoke about those few hours where you knew that your boss threw you to the wolves, and you're with some very dangerous people. But what's that like mentally to go through that, where you feel like any moment the shoe's going to drop, and you still got to put out that image, like you don't know what's going on. You are who you say you are, and to try to protect your cover. How do you do that mentally and play that act?
Well, thank you so much for this question. And I would say, honestly, it takes me still 17 years of the therapy. Yes, a lot of money, a lot of tears, a lot of, PTSD. But that's why I can share with you right now the whole story. And I feel like I'm strong enough to do that, because for many, many years, I lived in a victim mentality. I lived in fears. I was hiding myself. I was completely lost and broken. And I would say, if you are experiencing any PTSD or like negative memories and emotions, I really recommend to go and speak with a therapist, because this really helps, and it does help me as well, very much so.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's great advice. I know we are kind of wrapping up this first segment with you, but we have a second segment with you, Aliyah. And so we hope that you'll stay right there, because we want to get kind of into where you are now with your life, and kind of basically how you're able to talk about this now, and how you're able to now live in America. Because I know that that's really important to get into, because how do you go from being a spy to now not, and et cetera. So keep it right there. And
Mike, you just want to tell us when she's ready.
All right, welcome back, Fox 10 Talks. We
Wow.
just have one segment left in this hour. The show has totally flown by today.
It's been amazing, and just the questions, the twists and the turns.
I know.
Have been really great.
Yep.
But Aaliyah just went to go step into her office real quick. She'll be with us in just a moment.
Yep.
So we'll continue that conversation. And man, what an inspiring story too.
Yeah,
I don't know about you, but that woman has guts.
Yeah, she
You know?
does. So yeah, if you're just joining us, Aaliyah Rosa, so she is a former Russian sex spy, and she is spilling absolutely everything. And she joined the Russian military, and she was identified as someone who could basically infiltrate American Silicon Valley tech people.
Yeah.
And
and some of the most dangerous people in the world too. She was talking about
Correct.
the drug cartels and the
Correct.
different trafficking operations.
Absolutely.
I mean, my God, these people inflict some serious violence.
Yes, and she lived to tell about it, and she's now living here in America and kind of sharing the details about what she went through. This is obviously you're seeing her life, her photos.
I mean,
she's stunning.
You look at some of these photos too, you're just like, good luck.
I know, seriously. I mean, it is amazing that she's still alive. And so her father was in the military, and then he kind of said, you should join the military. And then she was identified as someone who could kind of do this, basically. But you saw this article in the New York Post. That is what drew your attention to this. And the headline that we read was that female spies are waging sex warfare to steal Silicon Valley secrets. And it's not just Russia, but it's also China.
Yeah, the theft of trade secrets is estimated to cost the American taxpayer up to $600 billion a year, with China identified as the principal source of the loss.
Yeah, and
wow.
the quote is, "It is the Wild West out there." And she was saying that you have these guys who are, doing startup companies. They're really busy. They're not maybe, I don't know,
the most social creatures, you'd say?
You said it. They're not the most social
Faces
creatures.
only a mother could love?
Listen, Ellen, you either start a company or you talk to girls. You can't do both.
Yes.
And maybe their social skills are not that great, so they see a red hot lady in a bikini. That's
not the
what
most
she
sexiest
said.
line. You should see my crypto portfolio.
And
Would you like me to whip it out?
Yes. And they have no sensibility. And so they see this chick in a bikini and they don't know that she's a spy from Russia or China.
When the other women are saying Das Vidanya, she's saying, hello, nice to meet you. You have a charming personality.
Can you give us all your secrets and tell us what you're going to be doing for America?
Exactly.
And they're like, sure, absolutely.
Aaliyah, I think you're back with us.
Yeah.
There you are. Wow.
It's hilarious conversation. I just adore you guys, especially this girl in bikini. Let me give you all the secrets of the state.
I know.
Well, I have to ask real quick if we could. So if you don't mind, just talking a little bit with the icebreakers, but say I'm a gentleman of the persuasion where I have something that the Russian government wants, the Chinese government wants. What is the line that you would say to me as an icebreaker if I'm there, let's say at a soiree in Silicon Valley, with my other tech bros? We're talking about NFTs and other worthless things you would think, but then I'm talking about my crypto account, my billionaire status, my yacht maybe. But how would you approach me and come over to try to get that in?
Okay, so see, you just mentioned that your interests are in crypto, right? In NFTs. So I would target that information before through internet, social media, through our mutual connections, our mutual friends. And I would come across not as this, just a girl who is, just want to date you or whatever. I would come across like professional. I would say, oh, hey, how are you? Have you been at this NFT conference? Or are you going to this crypto event, which is happening somewhere, blah, blah, blah. like, I don't know, like 20th of November, you would say, oh, I haven't heard about it. And I would say, well, I can take you as a +1 because I know this and this guy in this crypto world. They're very fascinating. They build these startups from the zero, and now the company worth like 2 billion. Would you like me to introduce you?
Wow.
So they've already done their homework. I mean, they're a spy.
Yeah.
They're a spy. So they've already done the homework.
Find the mutual interest there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And if you're
Exactly.
attractive,
Find the mutual interest. Exactly.
Yeah.
And the guys they want,
but also smart.
Right, a woman with the brain. That's exactly what I was going to say. Who knows the topic, who has the interest, and that's important.
Yes, because look, your interest, you just mentioned it, crypto NFT, right? If I will bring you on board, not just my physical appearance, but also my brain and also some conversation you're interested in, most likely you would say yes to me and you'll go with me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, that's true. So how did it go from you survived that horrible, situation. And then how did it go from that to now you're able to live in America and you're able to talk about this?
Yeah, so as I mentioned before, it's all because honestly, America gave me the freedom and protected me. Otherwise, honestly, I don't know, guys, where I would be, what would I do? Probably I would be lost somewhere in Russia, and who knows what would happen to me. And also I have an underage son, and I'm a single mom. So it's another story. His father was killed actually. So when he was 1 year old. So it's another story, which is another, I guess, like movie or episode, the podcast season, which we'll probably do. But coming back to the point, so after Russia, right, I moved to Greece, Switzerland. I lived a little bit in Italy, like about a year, in France about a year, and then 6 years in London, right? So I had a few missions in England. I cannot tell you names, unfortunately, because they're very quite famous people and quite big names. So I mean, like they're not criminals, but they were like my sort of small missions for the government, just to spy, absorb, and just to see what they're doing and basically what's happening with the money they stole from Russian government. It's a lot of like Russian oligarchs over there. So what happened eventually, I got connected with some parts of the royal British family. That year, 2019, literally in a few months, my lawyer called me and he said, well, I received this notice as your immigration lawyer. You have to leave the country like ASAP. And we still don't know why, but he kind of told me probably because of your background. So the only one visa I had that time was tourist visa, only one, American visa. So I came here, right, beginning of 2020. Then literally in a few months, just literally in 1 month, COVID happens. Then Ukrainian war happens. I'm kind of like stuck with my son in America because we cannot travel anywhere. Then before that, I start this kind of like migration process with different lawyers, taking interviews with them and asking their opinion of what should I do. And 5 of them told me, listen, if you want to stay in this country legally, first of all, you have to reveal your identity, number 1. Number 2, it kind of like, I kind of like shot 2 birds in one. Oh no, I killed two birds in one shot, right? They say, where the Ukrainian were actually kind of like, because it happened like in this devastating way, the Russian government were collecting all the assets, all the spies, all the agents abroad, not abroad, everybody were coming back to Russia. I obviously didn't want to go back. So when I started to reveal about my identity, about my opinion that I'm against the war and everything, it actually me from the Russian government, and I became more, because I revealed completely like my identity. So I'm no longer interested in assets for the Russian government.
Can I ask you real quickly too, with the brutality of Vladimir Putin and the Russian government and how they don't forget their enemies. And they really have had documented cases where they go to no bounds to find people that they consider enemies of the state and kill them in really horrific ways. Do you have that same fear for yourself and for your family in America?
Right. So this is a very important question, and thank you again for asking, because of course we all have, these fears, and I do as well. But the point is that I look at mistakes some other agents, former agents did. For example, Litvinenko, right? Litvinenko was killed in, I think, 2010 in London by poisoning. After revealing and releasing the book where he basically wrote and everything was published, all the numbers and statistics, and he was exposing Vladimir Putin and so on. I'm not doing that. I'm not exposing Vladimir Putin. I'm not revealing any secret information or whatever. I'm simply here passing knowledges and insight, which I learned in this, secret intelligence academy. But these knowledges are good for people because they can learn, for example, how to prevent manipulation or how to be confident, how to be like the best version of themselves. Whereas I never actually revealed any secret information about weapons or like the military situation in Russia. And I would never do it because, of course, I don't want to risk my life, right? I want to, raise my son and so on. So I'm not doing that. And that's why I don't go into politics. Whatever I do, I'm coaching women. I'm a public speaker. I'm writing books. So it's completely different, path and completely different job. And there's so many former CIA and FBI agents who also became like writers eventually after their career, and they became public speakers. So I'm more in entertainment rather than into this political stuff, because I understand this is really risky for me.
Well, it is fascinating. We are wrapping up our interview here with you, but where can people find you? Are you on Instagram? Are you, do you have a book? Where can people find you?
To Die For podcast.
If they want to learn more, about you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, people can find me anywhere. My Instagram, ALIIA Rosa with Z, or like my website, rosaclub.com, where I share these like spy techniques. So yeah, I'm just doing this because I believe that power should not be hidden. Knowledge should not be hidden. And as more skills we know, as more professional, as more confident, as better we become.
Yeah. Well, it's fascinating. I want to have you on my other show. So